Welcome to the number one 5-star rated show for the first steps into entrepreneurship. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes. Enjoy.
You're listening to WERALP Arlington 96.7 FM. This show is dedicated to the life and memory of Miss Annetta E. Baird. Disclaimer. Please seek the advice of a financial or legal professional in any and all business ventures. This show does not constitute financial or legal advice. And now, the show that helps you go from wanna-preneur to entrepreneur. The Swift Kick Show with Timothy D. Craggett. Entrepreneurial tips and advice with a kick. Here's Tim.
This is amazing. Welcome to the Swift Kick Show. I am Timothy D. Craigett. Let me tell you a little bit about the show. I'm super excited that this is happening, and I'm ecstatic I'm able to serve you guys. So let me tell you about the show. This is a show for anyone with an interest in online entrepreneurship or just trying to get something started. What you're going to experience is interviews and advice and such that's going to help you move forward. But for this particular show, I just wanted to just get right into it. So in my world, I'm very fortunate to have people that help me and support me and get me going. And this day, November 3rd, 2016, is really special for me because this is the day of my grandmother's first birthday. She immigrated from Trinidad and Tobago and helped to kind of usher my family into the United States of America. And what I want to do is usher this new way of thinking for you guys with this show. I want it to be something special where you get to hear perspectives you probably would normally not hear or experience things you normally would not experience. And just like with my grandmother, I have the best of intention to make sure that I can serve at a really, really, really high level. So without further ado, let's actually get into the first kick. Epic.
Did you know this is only the beginning? There's always more show just for you. We have exclusive interviews and bonus content to help you on your journey into entrepreneurship. Go to www.swiftkickshow.com to learn more.
And welcome back to the Swift Kick Show here on WERA 96.7 FM. I am Timothy D. Craigett, and this is the Swift Kick Show. And I'm so ecstatic right now to have my very, very first guest. The whole thing of bringing in family, like we talked about before, is really important when it comes to business. And support is there, and I'm just really excited because outside of the whole thing of this being on November 3rd, the day before my birthday, my grandmother's first birthday, this person that I'm bringing on is so special to me, and I'm just glowing that I can actually do this on any radio station, mind you. But let me get right actually to it. So the person I'm bringing on is the CEO and president of her own company, LEB Investments, real estate investor, and just so happens to be my mom. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you, Lystra E. Baird. I don't know how to call you on this, so I don't know if I should address you as Lystra or mom, or I'm just going to go with mom. So mom, how you doing?
I am great, Timothy, and I am excited to be your first guest, and especially in light of not only you having your show.
Thank you.
So very proud of you, sir.
Thank you.
Also in light of it being my mom's first birthday, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
She also is very proud of you. And I know she's a big part in your endeavors, as I have been too, I hope. And so I am equally proud to not only be a guest, but be your first guest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So just so the listeners know, just like we mentioned before, this is an entrepreneurial show. So if you're going to learn some things, and it's kind of funny to have my mom on, because it sounds as though, I'm just promoting inside the family, but no, she's really an entrepreneur. So it's really cool that this is like a family thing. And so Mom, are you ready to actually do this Swift Kick show?
I am ready to do this Swift Kick show.
All right, so let's get right to it. So the very first question I got for you is, describe what it's like to actually be an entrepreneur.
Well, being an entrepreneur is very exciting. It is also very freeing.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because it allows one to be their own boss.
Okay.
It also allows one to help others along in this process.
Yeah.
So, any way you look at it, it's very exciting.
The cool thing about this whole entrepreneurial thing is that you actually get the chance to help people realize things and be paid for it. And the whole thing in your business, being that it's a real estate investment, being able to actually help somebody be in a home is a really, really big thing. And not too many people go the route of actually being a buy and hold type person, or someone that acquires property for having renters and tenants. But when you come down to it and you actually, see the people in the home and they're enjoying it and they're letting you know the experience, and you're getting to enrich someone's life, even if it's for a short amount of time, hopefully a long, amount of time. But
Hopefully.
it's a really cool experience, and I like your perspective on that. Just kind of going a little bit further into it. So, for your journey, what has it been like being a entrepreneur in the real estate field? Like, just what's your feeling on that?
Well, I've been doing this now for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And so far, I don't have any negative things to say. I haven't had any negative experiences, and hopefully I never will.
Right.
It didn't, even fixing up the property to get it rented,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't very much of a headache, so to speak.
Right.
And with my tenants being there, I was very, very fortunate because the tenants that I've had thus far has maintained the property,
Yeah.
and I've gotten good things back as far as, feedback from their neighbors
Yeah.
who I've known for quite some time and who are like family to us. You
Right.
know that.
Right.
And so they keep me apprised of, what's going on with the property. And thus far, they've gotten nothing to say but good things. And I was fortunate enough also to meet my tenants back in April.
Mm-hmm.
And although I was a little uneasy going into the property, knowing that folks are there,
Right.
and they were looking at me side eye too, like, who is this woman coming into my yard? But once we met and we made our acquaintances, it was easy going. It was fine. They were receptive,
Yeah.
and so it was a good experience, and it has been thus far.
So, what's been your biggest challenges in the real estate world?
Well, since, as you mentioned, my business is real estate, I guess the biggest challenge I would say is attracting and retaining suitable clients,
Mm.
suitable tenants. As you also are aware, because this particular property is located in a state other than where I reside,
Right. Right.
um, the best thing and what has worked so great for me thus far is that I hired a property manager.
Yeah.
And so they are responsible for all of the day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
processes, maintaining the property and making sure that the rent is paid on time and all of that. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so again, it was, I guess, the biggest challenge was getting the right person.
Right.
And so since I had this company who vetted them for me as far as doing background checks and et cetera, that was a major help. So far, so good.
Cool. It's kind of funny you mentioned that too, because a lot of people getting into the real estate investment world want to be self-managed property owners. And we talked about this in the early stages when you were looking to get into this business. And I was
we
like,
did.
Mom, you got to get a property manager, because like dealing with like, what is it? How do they say it? It's something in toilets. I can't remember. Doors and toilets. I can't remember what the expression is, but having to deal with all of that day-to-day management, especially if
Yeah.
you're out of state, it's a pain in the
Yes.
butt. Like Colton
Oh, it's
Sheets
almost
talked about it.
impossible. It's
Hmm?
not only a pain in the butt, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
if something just happens,
Yeah.
having that call at 12, 1 o'clock in the morning
Yes.
about something is just dreadful. And for those that are listening out there, thinking about real estate investment, it's the number one thing I would tell anybody, and I'm glad that you can echo that too.
Oh, definitely.
That a property manager makes life so much simpler. So
Part of the good thing about that as well is that they also, because this is their business,
yeah,
they have vendors
yes,
that they already deal with.
yeah,
So they know who to call, and they can always, and it works out for me
hmm
as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, because they have these relationships, these long-term relationships, I get to benefit from that as well.
and actually you also get the benefit from it from a financial standpoint too, because
Yes.
most of the time their relationships with other vendors have like a worked in price already since they're already managing other properties. So it's that was actually a really good tip. That was a really
Yeah,
good one.
and the trust is already there as well because they know each other. So yes, all those things worked out.
Right. So let's go on the opposite side. So let's talk
Or,
success. What's been the biggest success in your 2-year venture doing this REI?
well, I so far the biggest success is
Outside
that
of getting paid.
well that's good too. But again, I my concern was that I would get some tenants who were, how to phrase this right, trustworthy, reliable.
Right.
Um, and again, I was again very fortunate in that we got the right people. It was the right fit,
Mm-hmm.
and so the relationship that we were able to build up, either directly or through the property manager,
Mm-hmm.
has been a major plus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everything, and so far my rent has been paid on time.
Yeah.
Although they had an animal, so they were concerned that I would allow that,
Right.
and it turned out because there's a big backyard where everything was a match.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I will say I've been successful because I got the right tenants
Right. So
and they
in
had the right landlord.
in I like that. So the just kind of looking at it as a whole, would you say that it's imperative to kind of have that really great match and trust that your property management company can find the right people for you in order to ensure that you have the best possible tenant?
Yes, definitely, and there has to be communications on both sides.
In what
If
way?
something goes wrong, when something has gone wrong with the property,
Hmm.
they've consulted me, and although we have a little bucket for small repairs,
Right.
if there was anything large, like I had to repair the whole HVAC system,
Mm-hmm.
they again found me a vendor. It was quite reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
They did the work timely. The property manager went to check that the work was done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The tenants were happy, which meant I was happy.
Right.
So all of that comes together and meshes when you can communicate with your property manager and they with you,
Mm-hmm.
and they are the go between you and the tenant. So that keeps the tenant happy. That keeps me happy.
Mm-hmm.
They get their portion, and so everything flows nicely. So yes.
Very cool. So let's do this. Let's take us a really quick break. And then when we come back, we'll talk some more about like the tactical things about being a real estate investor. You're listening to the Swift Kick Show on WERA 96.7 FM.
The conversation doesn't end here. We'd love to hear from you so we can better provide you more great content and some fun stuff. To learn more, go to www.facebook.com/SwiftKickShow. Look forward to being friends.
Welcome back to the Swift Kick Show. I am Timothy D. Craigat. I am here with my mother, Lystra Baird, doing this whole Swift Kick Show thing. And of course, you're listening to WERA. But we wanted to get a little bit more techie. Not too techie, but techie enough to where it makes a little bit of sense. But what lessons have you learned that is giving you the new perspective on this whole thing of being an entrepreneur?
Well, I guess I would say if done correctly, one can be very successful. So one would need to put in the work to find out what will work for them.
Mm-hmm.
Know really what you want. Do your research. And again, if you do the groundwork, you do the preparation, one can be very successful in any business, any entrepreneurial business.
Mm-hmm.
You
In
need to do the work.
in real estate, what specifically have you seen that has made it a valuable lesson for you as an entrepreneur, though?
Well, I guess like in anything, but in real estate, you want to make sure that you give the people what they want. So, if you're going to do real estate, then you don't want your property to be shabby. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that it's well kept, that things are working well, that the tenant doesn't have reason to be upset or to have to call you in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And then if they were to call you, that you're responsive. You don't want to be a landlord who, if the tenant say my toilet is leaking or my air conditioner isn't working,
Mm-hmm.
and you ignore them. You need to be proactive. And then if there's something that you can't do, or you don't see ahead of time, but they bring it to your attention, then you need to then get on it and make sure that you're doing the right things as a landlord,
Mm-hmm.
keeping your tenant happy. They will stay around.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't, they'll make sure the whole world knows that you're not a good landlord. So you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, it's true. Like, it's beyond the point of customer service. I'm more than certain you would agree with that.
Yes.
The thing with REI is it's not just location. It's not just, if it's a 3 and 2. It's, all the personal human things behind actually being a part of the business. I remember when I used to train for real estate investing back in the day. And one of the things that a lot of the trainers and mentors and coaches would say is doing the extra stuff is what keeps people happy, sending things on their birthday or doing surprise fix-ups when they weren't expecting it, or just when someone has a kid and you just send them like a little like card or something just to let them know, hey, you're not a number and you're not a paycheck for me. You're a person. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the whole thing of just being a proactive landlord that goes beyond being an investor. It is then becoming a real estate entrepreneur. So that's really cool. That's anyone listening. If anything you get from this, that doing the business of real estate is a people business, right?
Yes. Yes. And I want to add, and I'm glad that you mentioned some of the things you just mentioned, because a wise person, one named Timothy Craigett, when I was going into this this venture, did mention to me, and I was in total agreement, that as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the personal touches, the little things,
Yep.
that mean so much. So I do remember that when the tenants were in the house, in the property for the first Christmas, sending them a card. I'm not even sure if they knew it was coming from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have my business name on there, and just giving them a gift card so that they then can stretch their Christmas shopping budget.
Mm-hmm.
And also they, when I realized that they had a dog named Molly, I did ask the neighbors, and the neighbors told me that the dog's name was Molly. So I actually made a card, and so I could personalize it, and had a picture. I found a picture of a dog that looked exactly like their dog, and I made a card, and I inserted the gift card into that and sent it to the family. So all of those things help to make your business grow, because it shows the tenants that you care about them, and they're just not a body, renting your property or just, paying a rent or what have you, but that you see them as people,
Right.
and that you care about them. And those things really go a long way.
Yeah. So let's talk some tools. So what are some of the tools that you use in your business? What are some of the tools that anyone can go about and actually use it to find tenants, to run their shop per se to get themselves started?
Well, like with any business, word of mouth is invaluable. But for me to find my tenants,
Yeah.
I reached out again to some of the neighbors who live in that area and to find out what they would use. And they told me about a publication that is a free publication that folks can advertise for just anything.
Like a local
So
paper or something?
it was a paper.
Okay.
And in this case, do I mention the name
Nah,
or?
you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. Okay. So it was a local publication. And since I know it was delivered to the homes of, um, people in the area, I knew that would be a good way to target and to find my tenants. So I
Hmm.
advertised. It didn't cost me an awful lot, and I got a big turnaround on my investment. Um,
So
within a
that means you got an infinite percent on your
yes,
investment.
yes, I certainly did. Within a very short time, less than 1 month, I think I had about 71 or so responses,
Wow.
and that was just my first month.
Now, let's wrap
Yeah.
up on this last question. Okay. So, if someone wanted to get started in real estate investing, what advice would you provide?
I would tell them to do their homework.
Nice.
I will tell them to learn about the market and their target audience. I would advise that they consult with experts like you and others who has the expertise in the field and who they can learn from. Because a lot of folks go into business blind. They may just have an idea and it might be a good idea,
Hmm.
and they don't do the homework to support that idea,
Right.
and they go into it blindly. Um, so you need the drive, but in addition to the drive, you need to also do your homework.
I like that.
And when you combine the two, you can be very successful. But if you just go into it and just, oh, I have this idea, bam, I'm just going to do this, and and without any foundation, any support behind it,
Hmm.
oftentimes those businesses will fail. But if you do the homework, you have the drive, and you get your plan together and you work your plan. Part of working that plan is again reaching out to folks who may have done this before, who has the expertise. Um, doing research online, whether it's reading, whatever your method is, but you do your homework, and then you combine that with your passion and your drive, and you can be successful.
I like that. Awesome. Mom, Lystra E. Baird, however which way I'm supposed to do this thing. Thank you for being on the Swift Kick Show.
It has been my pleasure. Thank you so very much for having me.
And guys, if there's any more information that you'd like to learn, you can just go to www.swiftkickshow.com to learn more. I'm going to take a very quick break, and then I'll be back. And you're listening to the Swift Kick Show on WERA.
Shows like this need your help to continue broadcasting through radio for the Arlington, Virginia community and online. Donations from listeners like you help create great programming to enrich the mind and spirit. To help WERA 96.7 and its commitment to promote community-based radio, please go to www.wera.fm and click on the donate button. Every little bit counts, so please kick in a little. Again, go to www.wera.fm. And now, for more of the Swift Kick Show with Timothy D. Craggett.
So, guys, I want to thank you guys for listening in. I want to thank you again, Mom, for being on the show. This has been one of those really, really special moments in my life, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys. But let me give you guys the final kick. This is the sum of it all for you guys. Now, I just know that there's a lot of people that do really, really great things in life, and having really important people, really special people to help get you through the tough times is an essential part of being in business, whether it's for yourself or with a team, whatever. And I'm fortunate enough to have someone who's a leader in her own industry, in her own right, that kind of helps me to move forward outside of my wife and my friends. But for you guys, this is what I want you to really take away from all of this. I want you to know that the strongest part is not what you earn, but it's the people that you experience this whole ride with. The people that are there to be your guidance, your mentors, your influencers. And it's not just talking about the people who have the biggest budget. It's talking about the people you can actually reach out and touch. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the show. I look forward to having you guys here next week. This is the Swift Kick Show on WERA 96.7 FM.
You've been listening to the Swift Kick Show with Timothy D. Craggett. For more information and bonus content, go to www.swiftkickshow.com. Tune in next week for another kick.
And so I was able to rent the property, fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And then with my property manager being on board, ready to, run background checks, and all that sort of thing, we found the right person because of that ad, that one ad.
So just to make sure I'm getting it right, you didn't even worry about the internet. You went old school and went the paper route.
I certainly did, but I was also going to add to that.
And probably you did a phone too, right?
I'm sorry?
You probably also did a phone too, correct?
I got folks emailed me
from
my ad though, but I had folks emailing me and folks calling, and I reached out to people that way. But then I also have a wonderful website that my son built. and so, so sometimes you want to send some traffic that way as well. But in this case, I started off with that route, ran the paper, and then folks connected with me. And then that's when after that we used, then I guess, like I was saying, through email, through telephone, so what have you. And we made a connection.
So if someone is out of state using a combination of a phone, not necessarily even using the internet or any type of online classified, you're using like old school newsprint paper ad, a call to action of having someone to hit you up through email, or to reach out to you through phone. Then you made the connections from that to the property manager to vet the potential tenants. And through that process, you got yourself a tenant inside of your property.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Now, if that didn't work, then I also knew that I had the other internet tools, available to me. Mm-hmm. But the first thing we tried worked in this case, so we were fortunate.
That's pretty cool. I can say from what some others have said that's extremely not typical. But that is pretty amazing because that shows that it works. A lot of people actually could kind of, being in a metropolitan area like the DC metro area, you mostly see the rent books or anything like that. But that's proof to show that even things that are super advanced and you can overlook it doesn't necessarily mean it works everywhere. So kudos to you for that. That was pretty innovative in the sense of doing something no one would expect that you still would do, and it still works.
Thank you. And again, as you're learning to, that a lot of times it also depends again on the audience you're trying to reach, on the location. Some areas, this particular area is a small town, quite quaint, gorgeous, beautiful, but it is, so depending on the folks who live there, you want to, again, that's part of knowing your audience.
Yeah.
So you would use the tools that best, depending on the folks that you're trying to reach.
That makes perfect sense. So definitely knowing your demographic for your area did help you in that strategy. So that was pretty smart.